Hey everyone, welcome to Outbound Vistas, where we cover travel, trails, and the adventure in between. I'm super excited because today marks the recounting of an unforgettable journey through one of the most enchanting places in the world, Ireland. From dramatic coastlines and rolling green hills to vibrant cities and cozy villages, Ireland is a country where every corner tells a story. Whether you're drawn by its ancient castles, legendary folklore, or the warmth of the people, there's something here for everyone. In this vlog series, we'll be exploring some of Ireland's northwestern counties' must-see spots and sharing insider tips that'll help you experience the real magic of Ireland. So, if you've ever dreamed of exploring Galway, Sligo, Mayo, or Donegal, you're in the right place. Grab your virtual passport, hit subscribe, and join me as we uncover the wonders of the Emerald Isle. Let's get started. Good morning, and welcome to Dublin. So we flew in yesterday and decided that rather than trying to jet off right away, we wanted to spend just a night in a hotel. We were feeling refreshed and ready to go for the next 12 nights here in Ireland. So doing something a little bit different this time though, because rather than doing bed and breakfasts, this is going to be our home for the next 2 weeks. So we spent a couple hours yesterday afternoon picking up the RV from West Coast Campervans yesterday. Had a lovely time with Kevin, who walked through everything with us before we really set off today. But before we go, we have decided that we're going to spend a little bit of time here in Dublin, but not your typical Dublin fare. We're going to go climbing. After being cooped up on the plane the previous day, we really wanted to go climbing for a stretch and workout before we headed further west. On the north side of Dublin, we found Awesome Walls, one of the premier climbing gyms in Ireland. Following a quick induction and safety briefing from Dave, the manager of the facility, we hit the walls. We found the staff were warm and friendly, and the route setting was some of the better work we've found in other gyms. It really is a fantastic facility, so if you're looking for something a little different to do in Dublin, make sure to check them out. From Awesome Walls, we headed west towards County Galway. So driving in Ireland, obviously the first thing you need to know is that they drive on the left, just like in the UK. It's a mental switch for sure, and we frequently reminded each other to drive on the left, particularly when we made turns. Roads, they start to narrow the further you go from a city, and eventually they end up as a one-lane gravel path with pullouts. But from Dublin to our stop at the Ferry to Inishmore, the roads were decent all the way through. The ferry to Inishmore makes the roughly 40-minute crossing up to 4 times a day based on the time of year. Note that seas can be a little rough, so if you get seasick, make sure to plan ahead. Arriving on Inishmore, we headed out and I had my first Guinness of the trip. The next morning, we decided to rent bikes to make seeing the island sights easier. Bikes can be rented near the pier where you arrive, starting at around 22 euros, but we opted for the e-bikes at around 42 euros each. The narrow roads don't have tons of car traffic, but you will encounter a few as well as horse-drawn carriages. We parked our bikes at a large bike parking area for the short, roughly 1 kilometer hike to Donegasa. The fortress of Donegasa is dramatically poised on the edge of a sheer cliff overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. Surrounded by ancient stone walls, this prehistoric site was initially built in the Bronze Age and expanded during the Iron Age and early medieval periods. Its concentric dry stone walls made it a formidable stronghold. Visitors are rewarded with panoramic views and an immersive historical experience. The site offers a visceral sense of how people long ago shaped the remote island to stand guard over the sea. There is no barrier at the cliff edge, so explore carefully. Jumping back on the bikes, we headed to a nearby trailhead for the Wormhole. This rocky hike across the glaciated terrain is only about 750 meters long, but is only marked by the red arrows along the path. The trail largely disappears once you hit the coast, and then you walk up to the Wormhole. This rectangle of a pool that seems almost man-made is actually a naturally occurring phenomenon because of the karst limestone in the area. Moving past the Wormhole through the Dream Baths takes you to an amazing view of the cliff where Donegasa sits above. The power of the wind and the waves and the cliffs that meet the sea are frightful as well as inspiring. Walking back past the cliffs, pools, and the Wormhole, we continued through the rocky ground back to our bikes, and then a lazy race back to our crossing of Galway Bay to continue our journey. After a night, oddly enough, in the parking lot of a local pub, we continued our adventures while we still had good weather. We headed inland to Loch Eamon. With several of the 12 bends lying to the west of the valley and beautiful cascading waterfalls in the east, this is truly one of the most beautiful valleys in all of Connemara. A couple of days behind us, we sought out one of the less glamorous tasks of dealing with the waste tanks of the campervan before we stopped for groceries for the next leg of our trip. While the weather was disappointing during this part of the trip, we started to hit our stride and stopped off at the Killary Fjord. This glacially carved valley forms what is sometimes considered the only fjord in Ireland, and is around 10 miles long. The area is known for salmon and mussel farming, and while we felt that we were leaving behind Connemara without a complete visit, we did find one of the most beautiful park-ups of the trip in the Duloch Valley. A park-up in Ireland and other parts of Europe is parking overnight either in official or less formal sites. This can sometimes be on private property, though you're technically supposed to have permission. In this case, our park-up was along the side of the road, just above the lake. During the potato famine, the Duloch Valley was the location of a tragic event where an inspection was to take place in a nearby town. The inspection didn't happen, and a message was passed to the people of Louisburg to meet the inspectors 12 miles away. When they arrived, they were told the charity they sought was not to be. At least 20 and possibly many more died as they made the trek while hungry, and in many cases shoeless. The memorial at the northern end of the valley commemorates this tragedy. Continuing along the southern shores of Clew Bay, we stopped at Bertra Beach. This narrow strand reaches into the bay more than 1 kilometer under the shadows of Crow Patrick. Bertra Beach is a blue flag beach, indicating that it needs to show more than great water and safety. It also must teach about the environment, manage trash properly, and play by a strict set of rules. We continued on to Westport for an emergency phone repair and another resupply, before we would continue along the Wild Atlantic Way to Ackle Island. Thanks for joining us on our first Ireland video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to be notified when part 2 is released.